Hey there! As you probably know, I am a fan of Swift Concurrency and the async await approach, but sometimes I see people who say that, well, I would like to catch up with this tech, but I am bound with some legacy and with UIKit code specifically, that's why I'm not able to do this. If you're in the same situation, actually you could and you absolutely should do this step. You would be able to upgrade your project to the Swift 6 and also you would be able to benefit from all the thread safety features of the Swift concurrency. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to implement a basic MVVM approach using UIKit and Swift concurrency. So currently on your screens, you can see the template for any UIKit based application constructed by the Xcode. So basically it is a single screen app with this white screen. And the first thing which I would like to do is to go to the project configuration and switch the Swift version to Swift 6. My next step would be go to the storyboard, and as you can see, the first screen in the storyboard is our view controller, which is defined in the viewController.swift. And I've just detached the main storyboard from this implementation of the view controller, so we could modify it in any way and the application would still be constructible. All right, so let's start with implementing of the MVVM over here. First of all, let's create the view state for our view controller. So it's going to be a screen which is going to display an image, a title, a subtitle, and a button. So its state is going to look something like image, UI image, the title, the optional string, the subtitle, the optional string, and also the button title, the optional string. Also, let's make this state equatable so that we could compare the states and, for example, ignore any changes if the view state doesn't change any of its fields. All right, now to the view model. Let's specify the protocol view model protocol. All right, and it's going to have two things over here. First, we are going to provide the current state, which could be received synchronously from the view model. And also we are going to provide the asynchronous way to observe the state. So it's going to be something like the state stream, which is going to be an instance of a sync string with the view state. All right, and we have only one action which this view could provide back to the view model. So it's going to be the button tap, right? So let's create a method button dTap over here, and it's going to be synchronous. All right, so for the thread safety, let's mark the whole interface of the view model as main actor executed, and we are also going to do the same with the view controller itself. All right. So now we are going to do the regular implementation of the UIKit view controller, nothing related to the MVVM and Swift concurrency so far. So let's just create the image view, the title label, the subtitle label, the button, and put them all together to the view. So first of all, I'm going to create the image view in a lazy way. So it's going to be an instance of the UI image view, and it's going to be constructed like this. First, we are creating the instance of the image view, And then we are specifying that, well, first the content mode for that is going to be the scale aspect fill. Then let's create some nice corner radius. So for that we're going to modify its layer, and that it's going to mask to bounds, and also the corner radius is going to be something like 8. Now let's specify also the background. For example, if image view doesn't display anything, then it's going to have the nice background. Something like, for example, system gray 4 would work for that. And also let's specify the size of this view by activating the constraints. Yeah, that works for me. So we're going to create 2 constraints. Let's actually change the sizes for them. So we are specifying 2 constraints for the width anchor and for the height anchor over here. Right, now let's also do the same for the title label. So we are going to lazily implement the instance of the UI label. Right. Over here we are going to create the instance, and we are going to specify 2 things over here. So first the font, right? Let's actually use the bold system font of size 24, for example, and we are going to also specify the text color. How about the solid black, for example? For the subtitle label, we are going to copy paste this code. I'm going to change the font. Let's use the regular system font of size 17, for example. And for the text color, how about reusing the system gray for this? Right, and finally we have the button left. So let's create the button. First we're going to create an instance of the button, right? And we're going to return this instance in the end of this closure. So over here I don't see anything which we should to configure except the configuration. So it's going to be the field style, and also let's create another constraints over here and specify the button's height. So 48 would work for me, for example. Nice. So we have all our instances, and now we could create some methods, something like func setup layout, which is going to be executed in the view.load. So over here, first I would do the adding of all these subviews to the view of the view controller. So in this cycle, I'm going to first execute the view add subview, and also I'm going to disable the translate resizing masks into constraint for each of the subview. Nice. So we are going to activate the constraints, but I would like to construct all these constraints using the safe area layout guide. So let's name it simply as the safe area. And finally, we are doing the layout. So first of all, let's specify the constraints for the image view. So the top anchor is going to be equal to the safe area top anchor with the constant 16. Then we're going to center the image view inside the safe area like this. Then we're going to specify the same for the title. it's going to be attached to the image view bottom anchor with the spacing inset of 16. Now let's specify the horizontal constraints. So we are going to attach the title label leading anchor to the safe area leading anchor with the constant 16. Then we are going to attach it to the trailing anchor with the constant minus 16. Now let's copy paste this code to be used for the subtitle. All right, subtitle is going to be attached to the title label bottom anchor with this inset of 8. And finally, let's specify the same stuff for the button. So it's going to have the same horizontal constraints. As for the vertical, we are going to attach it to the safe area bottom anchor with the constant minus 16. All right, so we have everything in place. And now let's actually set up the view model. So for that, let's create a method setup a view model over here, which is going to be executed as the second one in the view did load. Actually, let's implement the internal property, the view model of view model protocol, which is going to be injected in constructor. Of course, we need to execute the super init to execute the parents constructor. And as for the default constructor through the NS coder, we are going to just ignore it. All right. So what we are going to do in the setup view model? Well, first of all, let's apply the current state of the view model on the view. So for that, let's create another method, something like set state. And here we are going to have our state to be set on the view. Basically, we have only 4 fields in the state. So we have the image, which should go to the image view. We have the title, which should go to the title label, the subtitle, and then we have the button's title. So it's going to go to the button set title for the normal state. All right. So now we could execute the set state in our setup view model. So it's going to get the view model current state and provide it to the set state. Now let's actually implement this bounding between the view model state and the view. So we are using the async stream, and to use it, we should execute all the code in some kind of asynchronous task. So over here, we are going to use the weak copy of self and the copy of the view model. As you probably know, the async stream is the async sequence. So we could use the for cycle on it. So for await new view state in view model state stream, we could actually execute the self set state with the new view state. For additional safety, actually, let's specify that this method could be executed only on the main actor, like this. Yeah, and we could even specify the await over here. Oh, yes, and it of course needs to be asynchronous. All right, so let's actually move this execution to here. Right, So now we are specifying the initial state of the view first, and then we are going to update the state whenever the async string tells the view to do this. Finally, we have the button action, the button did tap, which we should actually somehow bound to the button action. So for that, let's use the good old Objective-C method, something like button did tap. So this is the Objective-C compatible method. So we could specify it as the button target. So here we are going to specify the self, the view controller itself, with the selector button did tap, and the action is going to be, or the event is going to be the touch up inside. And inside this method, we are going to just execute the view model button did tap. So we are done with the view level. Now let's actually specify the view model over here. So we are going to construct a new file, and here let's specify the view model as a class of view model protocol. So let's import UIKit because we are going to work with the UI images at least. So what we need to specify over here, the current state, which should be the read-only property, the state stream. For any new observer, actually the view model should provide a new instance, so it's going to be a computable property, and the method button did tap. So in this view model, I'm actually going to use the continuations, and each async stream is going to be associated with its own continuation. And by the way, yeah, view model is supposed to have only one observer by the MVVM design. However, as it is the observable, it doesn't know if it is observed by one or multiple observers. So we're going to implement just the general case for this. So we're going to have the collection of the continuations for the async streams. And whenever the current state changes, we are going to just yield a new state of the view to all these continuations. So let's create the continuations over here. Let's actually name them as the state stream continuations. So it's going to be a collection. And to identify each of the continuation, we need some kind of hashable identifier. So let's use, for example, the UID for this stuff. And it's going to keep the instances of continuations for our exact stream. All right. So whenever the current state changes, the did set of this property is going to be fired. First, let's use the equatable compatibility of our view state, which we defined over here, and actually ignore all the sets which doesn't cause the value to change. So first we are going to change that current state is not equal to the old value. Otherwise, I'm going to just return. If it is changed, then we should go through all of the state string continuations for each. And over here, we are going to ignore the identifier and use the continuation itself and just yield a new value to all these continuations. All right. Now let's get back to the state stream. So state stream is a computable property. It's going to construct a new continuation whenever it is read. So it needs some method to modify the state stream continuations asynchronously and safely. So let's create two methods for that. First is going to be the set stream continuation. All right, and it's going to consume only one method, one parameter. Let me just copy paste it from here. Right, so as it's going to be done safely, let's do all the synchronizations through the main actor over here. So when we are putting the new continuation to our collection, first we need to create the new UUID. So let's create it as just the identifier and put to the state stream continuations. But also, whenever the continuation is terminated, well, we need to remove this continuation from the collection. So let's create another method on the main actor, the remove stream continuation. And it's going to be removed using the identifier over here of UID type. So over here we are going to just set the state stream continuation to nil for this ID. And over here, when we are putting it to the state stream continuation, now we could set up that on termination we need to execute the task because this closure is actually synchronous. So we could use the self over here and execute the remove stream continuation for our identifier. And because it is an async method, we also need to use the await over here. All right, so we did everything for our observability. We actually forgot to create the new instance of async stream. Let's do it over here. So each time the state stream is executed to be read, we are going to implement a new async stream for the element view state self. Its buffering policy, we are going to keep only one newest entity. And as for the continuation over here, we need to execute the task and set stream continuation to our collection. Right? And finally, we need to create a constructor. So it's going to be a constructor with 0 parameters. And then the only thing which we need to specify is the current state. So let's create something primitive just to test that everything works as expected. So the image is going to be nil, the title is going to be title, the subtitle is going to be a subtitle, and the button title is going to be something like action. All right, and finally, let's actually inject our view controller to the application using the scene delegate. So over here, we need to replace the root view controller of our window. So we are going to construct the view controller using the view model over here. And after that, we just need to set up the self window root view controller as this view controller. Let's try to build all the stuff. Yeah. So the thing which we forgot is actually we need to set the background of our view. So let's do it over here and set up it, for example, to white. Yeah, so this is the initial state. So currently we just observe the view model, which doesn't change. So let's do something with its action, for example, to change the state. I have an idea that, well, whenever the button is stopped, the view model reloads its image and also modifies the text accordingly to this image. In this example, I'm going to use the samples from the Pick Some Photos, which have a lot of images on their web page, which are addressable by the integer identifier. So let's create an internal property, something like ID integer, and it's going to be equal to 0. So we are going to download all these images asynchronously, which means that we could have the race condition. So to prevent the wrong image to be set to the state, let's create an additional method, something like func set image. So it's going to be an UI image, and also we are going to provide the image ID over here. So it's going to be executed on the main actor, and before any setting we are going to check that our current ID is equal to the image ID. Otherwise we are not going to do anything. Else we are going to modify the current state image to this image, which is going to fire the did set, and the changes on the view would be handled after that. All right, now let's implement the button did tap. So first of all, let's change the ID by 1 at each click and save this as image ID for our new operation. So the URL string for this download would look something like this. So you could actually check the Pick Some web page and find out that, well, this part of the URL string is an ID, and this is the size, the square size of the image which we are going to request. All right, so first, before even loading the image, let's modify the state of this view model. And to do this, let's actually create a new state from the current state. It's going to be a mutable copy. So we are going to first apply all these changes on the new state and then put them back to the current state. In this case, we are going to avoid a lot of the unnecessary view updates. So first we are going to set the new state image to nil. Then we are going to update the title to something like picture and the ID of the picture. The same would we do for the subtitle. Actually, let's put the URL string over here, and after that we are ready to put this new state to the current state. Right? After that we are going to create the URL from the URL string, and if it is okay, then we are going to start a new asynchronous task. So over here we are going to use the URL session to download the data for this image asynchronously. Actually, URL session has the data from asynchronous method, which returns the data and the URL response for every request. So we don't need the URL response, so we are going to just use the image data over here. It could fail, so let's wrap up this download to the do catch. And for every catch, let's just set the nil image as nil with image ID over here. And additionally, let's actually use the weak copy of self in this task, like this. Of course, the URL shared data download is asynchronous, and also it is throwable, so we need to use try await over here. And after that, we could set the image constructed from this data, if this data is valid, for our image ID. And basically that's it. The view model is ready. Let's check how it works. Right, so I'm clicking the action. Yeah, and as you can see, the title, the subtitle changes immediately, and a few seconds or a few milliseconds after that, the image is changing as well. Yep, and this is how you could implement the MVVM-based application using UIKit and Swift Concurrency. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, then feel free to put into the comment section. Also, please find the link to this exact repository in the description of the video below. And see you next time. Cheers!